could just say my job as a coach, and again, man, this sounds like one of those things that when I first heard it, I would have been like, oh yeah, that's a good answer. This
Yeah.
is the truth today. My job is to coach the person in front of me the best that I can, to love and to serve and to be fully present for them with just this loving desire to help. And so that just speaks to, right, if we really want to do
Yeah.
something, there's always a way. Doors will open up, the universe, God will present an opportunity. And
Yes.
there's this principle of things happen at the right time, but
Yeah.
we also got to put the effort in. But
Yes.
both exist.
I would say my biggest concern with coaching with Kris Pavone was that somehow you were going to put me in a rear naked chokehold or suplex me into a table, and I didn't
Yeah.
want that, or hit me with a folding chair. So
Luckily, we were on Zoom, so you
yes, yeah, I didn't know if there was a filter or something that you could do that with. So I would love to dive into your first ventures into a side hustle, into self-employment, your own business, all that type of stuff. Like, what was the first thing that you tried on this journey?
Yeah. So everything kind of builds on each other, right?
Yeah.
So I became a teacher. It was only 7 months from the time I left wrestling until I became a teacher, which is, pretty quick turnaround for, two different careers. And I think I wanted to prove to myself that I could show up and have a normal job. So that was important to me, to be able to transition happily
Mm-hmm.
in health in a healthy way out of wrestling. So I know a lot of guys struggle with that.
Right.
So when I became a teacher, I was like, wow, I have a brand new career. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this for the next 30 years. That's the standard. 30 years, you have benefits and you retire after 30 years.
Yeah.
So after probably 3 or 4 years of teaching, I kind of started to think, well, hold up, maybe I don't want to do this for the next 26 years. It's great, but it's also kind of the same thing. And after a couple more years of that, I was, yeah, I really thought, man, I I don't want to do this for, even another 10 years. So I
Yeah.
don't hate it. There's a lot of things I love about it, but let's start looking at other options. Now, usually in my life, when I would get that sense or desire, something new would present itself. And it happened when I left wrestling. I remember in September telling one of my best friends, like, wow, man, like, I don't think I want to wrestle forever anymore.
Okay.
Which was a big deal for me. That was just a new thought. But September, October, November, I didn't know. I had no idea 3 months later I'd be let go.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, in a way, it's like, hey, it kind of happened for me. So what am I going to make with this opportunity? And there's been other situations in my life where things like that would happen. Like I get this desire of, I wanted to make a change, and like, boom, like an
Yeah.
opportunity would present itself. So with teaching, that wasn't happening. I thought I would find a new job, and I would kind of look and try to, and nothing would work out. I'd look at different things. So and the reason nothing happened was because what started to happen was this entrepreneurial spirit started to get awoken in me.
Okay.
And I read Dan Miller's book. This in 2016, 48 Days to the Work You Love.
Yes. Love that book.
And I thought, yeah, and I never read anything like that before. And it just really spoke to me about, you should really, really love your work, and it can be a creative expression. And,
Yep.
all this stuff I believed, but I think what it was because I got to be a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I think subconsciously or somewhere in my mind, I thought, well, okay, I got to do that, live out the childhood dream. So now,
Yeah.
it's time to just, no matter what my job is, just be happy I got to be a wrestler and just
Now
show
you
up
got to
for a
go
job.
be an adult and do the responsible thing, quote unquote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so once I started listening to Dan's podcast, and man, I started hearing about other people
Mm-hmm.
that are called entrepreneurs. And I thought that was the neatest thing, where you could, create a product or service that it's a creative um, process, and you can get paid for that, and it serves other people. I thought that's just the coolest thing. So
Yes.
I thought, well, what do I should start I want to start a business. What should I do? I don't know. I'm an artist, so let me create a brand around my art.
Yeah.
I've always been a positive person. I like the inspirational stuff, and I thought that'll be like my brand, inspirational artwork. And so I pursued that. I went to some conferences and learned how to, do email marketing, and created a website, and
So
created a YouTube channel.
these were entrepreneurial conferences, like self-employment, like those
Correct.
types. Okay.
Yeah, it was like Ray Edwards, Ray.
Yeah.
It was Ray
Yep.
Edwards conference. Even Cliff's first free, or no, was it yeah, okay, it was Ray's, and then Cliff's was a little bit later.
Yeah.
Ray had a second one at the factory. That's why I was thinking it was Cliff. But
Okay.
so anyway, so here's another example, like of when we take action, another door will open up. So I had this art business, and I wanted to create a YouTube channel just for fun, because I wanted to. I thought this would be fun. I got inspired by Austin Kleon's book, Show Your Work. We talked about just putting your stuff out there. So
yes.
it doesn't have to be finished before you can show people. And so I thought, because I was already thinking about making a YouTube channel, but I was like, well, I got to know what I'm doing more and all that. And I read that book and thought, no, I don't. So let me create a website. I'm going to showcase what I'm working on. But what I also did was I started to like just tell some funny stories that had like a good moral or success principle to it.
Yeah.
And I would give like an inspirational message, and then I would just tie it back to my art website. Say, go to, visit it was called visualfaithworks.com, the art of Kris Pavone. And then from there, what happened was people like more than 3 times this happened. I would be at my teaching job, and like a teacher would say, hey, I saw that video you posted on Facebook. That really helped me out. Thanks for saying that. That was really helpful. And
oh, wow.
So a coworker said to my wife, hey, I didn't know your husband was a motivational speaker. And she said, well, he's not. And, oh, okay.
Thanks, honey.
And I ran into another one of Rachel's coworkers once, and we're friends on Facebook, and she goes, I love your videos that you post. So those are really great. So I was like, okay. So around this time is when I went to another conference that Ray Edwards put on. This is in 2017. That's where I met Cliff Ravenscraft.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got that feeling again of like, okay, I want to create a business, but I don't want to create an art business. I don't know what it is though. It's like, which is always telling, when you want to do something, but maybe you're not quite sure what it is. So
right.
Keep pursuing it, and it'll unfold. And so I met Cliff there, and I was telling Cliff about this response to my YouTube videos, and Cliff had said, have you ever thought about being a life coach? And I thought, no. And he goes, yeah, that's something you ought to think about if people, you're getting this kind of reaction to these videos you're putting out. And Cliff also, that's when he had podcasting A to Z.
Mm-hmm.
I had been thinking about a podcast, thought that might be kind of fun to do. And so I ended up, it was right after that conference. I ended up signing up for Cliff's podcasting A to Z. And that's when I created the Kris Pavone show. And I thought, I have all these great like stories and like experiences I've had. Cliff also helped point out to me my wrestling career, and like, how that's something, pretty, it's a pretty big accomplishment. You can definitely use that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Thanks. You definitely use that to help other people, because the other thing was, we tend to downplay our own successes because
Yes,
we,
we
you
do.
know, yeah. If I don't know, if when I see somebody play the guitar, I'm like, wow, that's impressive as heck because I can't do it.
Yeah.
But if I could play the guitar, it's like sometimes we can tend to downplay it. So my wrestling career, I was like, yeah, I was a WWE wrestler. So were 500 other men and women that I was friends with over the years. Like so what? Um, Getting out of myself, I was able to see, hey, that is a pretty big accomplishment.
It is.
So stuff like that, I started to look at and think, wow, okay, so I do have a good message to share with people. So I started the podcast and just committed to doing it and did it for 3 years every
Yeah.
week,
Let's not
reaching a
fly by
growing
that.
audience with it.
Let's not fly by that
Yeah,
too
okay.
fast, because you put out 150 episodes of the Kris Pavone show every single week without fail. I mean, you
Yeah,
didn't miss a single week, right? It was every
right.
week you showed up and put out an episode of the Kris Pavone show. And as a
Right.
result, 150 episodes later, you have this vast library of just motivation, sharing your story, sharing your message. And still to this day, I would imagine it's probably helping draw people to you and your platform. So, again, no small accomplishment, because there's some statistic out there that says new podcasters don't make it past the seventh episode or past the
Yeah.
10th episode. And here
Yeah.
you are 150 episodes later. So, again, no small accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Johnny. You're right. And so as I was doing the podcast, I started to use it as a platform for coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and and then I shifted 100% into being a coach. I want to be a coach. This is what I'm going to do, and um, so and this is where my coaching journey kind of really ramps up. So I decided I want to be a coach. I'm still teaching, and my plan is to be able to create enough income or build my business up to where I can do that full time.
Yes.
For about a year and a half, I tried strictly just marketing my coaching, and it really didn't get a lot of clients. And this is a whole other thing in itself, in the coaching world. Like I talked to other coaches about this, but I'll share it here too. So it makes sense on paper, right? I got to market myself, get myself out there, and let people know about me and all that, and that's fine. But I was relying solely on that, where
Mm-hmm.
it was, let me put the word out and send people to my website, and they go and click on a link, and they hired me to be their coach. And what I found was there was just a big disconnect with that because for one thing, again, curse to the familiar here, a lot of people don't even know what coaching is.
Right.
Um, like I knew about it, about it, but you know, the average person out there might not even know what that means. And
Yeah.
if they do, they don't know what coaching with me is like. So there's got to be more of a connection before someone agrees that, hey, working with Kris is going to be really valuable, and I want to pay money to be in a paid coaching relationship.
Right.
And what changed for me was I read the book The Prosperous Coach, and it talks, is by Steve Chandler and Rich Litvin, and it talks a lot about uh, connecting with people, giving people experience of your coaching. Hold nothing back. It's service oriented. Nothing really like that hasn't been done before, but it just put it in a context of like, oh, that makes a lot of sense when it comes to coaching. And
Yeah.
ultimately, it's like it's to give people experience of my coaching at no charge. That way, they get it. They know what coaching is. They know what coaching with me is like. Then they can decide if they want to move forward in a paid coaching relationship. So then I ended up hiring a coach from the Steve Chandler tree, if you will, and that really helped things take off for me. And
Okay.
so it kind of shifted from me sitting behind a microphone and telling people, hey, go to krispavone.com and sign up with me. If you like my podcast, go do that, and hoping people do that. And it shifted to, hey, let me just go directly to people and talk to them. And if they're interested in a coaching conversation, let's do that. Let's do some coaching.
Yeah.
And then they can, if they want to pay me. And and so that's kind of the basics of it. So started to build my practice, get more clients, and after after the 2020 school year, I put my notice in because my coaching was at a place where my wife and I both felt it was a good move, good idea for me to make that leap.
Okay.
And then COVID hit, so we school ended anyway.
Yeah.
I put my notice in March, and I was gonna finish out the year, but COVID happened, which really has nothing to do with my coaching, I guess. It just, I don't know. It's kind of funny. Because people would ask me, hey, are you taking a leave because of COVID? I said, no.
Yeah. Okay.
So I took a leave of absence, and then I actually had to let them know. So that was last school year. I had to let them know actually last month if I was returning, and I'm not. So that's how I got to where I'm at now as a full-time coach. And that's what I do now. And I really love it, obviously.
You identify as a coach, and there's people out there that are probably thinking, well, is he a business coach? Is he a life coach? Is he a football coach? Like, what type of coach are you? Like, what do you help people with? What do you do? Like, Kris Pavone, coach of blank.
Yeah. Yes, another great question. So I typically say I'm a business and life coach because that kind of covers most of the areas. But ultimately, this is another thing I learned. So I would go to trainings when I wanted to be a coach, but I was also in there with like a broad paintbrush of entrepreneurs. You have brick and mortar people in there. You have copywriters. You have people that run, a food business. And, they'd say, all right, come up with your avatar. And I help blank, so that blank, so that.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and think as a coach, I'm like, okay. And I help. And what would end up happening was like, I'm just creating this because so I sound cool or smart.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. And
fill the box or check the box, fill the blank. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've since met a lot of coaches that, spend more time trying to come up with a niche than actually just getting out and helping people. So niches happen organically, unless you have a very specific niche that's where you want to coach people and that's what you do. But to try to come up with one, I think is just a waste of time. Just go out and connect and see where you can help somebody, because everybody's so different. Probably every client I've had is different.
Okay.
No technique's the same. We coach people differently, depending on who they are, where they're at, what they're wanting to do. And so because the reason I say I'm a business coach, I work with business owners. I'm not a consultant. I'm not telling them what they're doing in their business, but we're coaching the person. A great analogy, I think, is the chess player and the chess board. So if I'm coaching chess, I'm not telling you what moves to make. I'm coaching the chess player.
I see.
So he can make the best moves. And one of my favorite examples is, Steve Chandler. His coach is a guy named Steve Hardison. They call him the ultimate coach. And he says, the way my coaching works is I'm going to talk and you'll listen, and you're going to talk and I'll listen. And we're going to see where we go. Now, it's obviously much deeper than that once you get into it, but that's ultimately doing. Uncover, discover, discard. Because everybody has in them everything they need to accomplish whatever it is they want to accomplish.
So true.
It's just, yeah, it's just removing those things that are in the way that are all just made up beliefs. That might be oversimplification, but I have to keep things simple. Yeah.
Okay, so then who needs a coach?
Yeah, another great question. So I had a guy come to me once who, he's like, I need some coaching. I want to talk to you about, you possibly being my coach. So, okay. So we got on a call and, we were just talking. He really wasn't sharing anything of any depth or, so I said, what do you want? What do you want coaching for? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I just know you're supposed to have a coach. It's like, I was like, well, okay, well, but if, why would you want to hire me? Well, what would we work on? What do you want to create? What would you want to get out of it? He's like, I don't know, nothing. Basically is what he's, so I'm like, wow. I don't think you need a coach. He's like, yeah, I think you're right. So, not everybody needs one. I think everyone definitely can use one. But then again, there's times where it's obvious somebody has they want to get to a certain place.
Okay.
Something in them is holding them back. No matter what, doesn't matter what it is. And a coach can help you get unstuck and get you to where you want to be.
So would you say coaching is seasonal, where like if you want to launch something or move somewhere in your business, or if you want to achieve a certain physique, or if you want to like you were saying, just get unstuck mentally or emotionally. So once you reach those goals, I mean, I would say new goals would present themselves, which present new opportunities for more coaching. But would you say in general, just as a general statement, coaching is a seasonal?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the word seasonal for some people it'd be seasonal, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess it all depends on how far somebody wants to go. But you're right. Sometimes people are good after 3 months or 6 months, and they've accomplished what they were wanting to do. It really helped them. They changed some things that now equip them to, be able to move forward in other areas. And and then a lot of times too, what happens is somebody comes in with, hey, I want to be a better tennis player. And we end up talking about relationships.
Yeah.
Because going on, it affects every other area of their life. So that's why it's hard to, I think, as a coach, to say I help bankers who are struggling get,
Yeah. No part of your life is siloed because it's all intertwined in the way that you live. Your money affects your relationships affect your health affects your work, your work affects your mindset. Like all of it is completely connected. And to try and isolate one part away from everything else, I personally feel that doesn't work, because I mean, you may want to improve one specific area, but to say this does not affect the rest of my life, that's completely inaccurate.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. How do you find a coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's see. So all my coaches have just been people that I met through other people.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's like other. It's my answer would be just through word of mouth. Somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
But I think there's also, I've never done this, but I know there's like there's websites where you can go to. I have a friend that's part of one. I think it's called Coach Fit or something where you can go and try to, sign up for a coach. They have like a directory of a bunch of coaches. You can do that.
Okay. Well, yeah,
I think,
definitely. You and I, we connected because we were both moving and operating in the same space at the same time. We were at the Free the Dream conference, and
yeah,
literally just passing in the hall, and we just stopped to chat. And
yeah,
here we are, what, 2 years later, coming up on.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's a good
yep.
point.
Yeah, yeah. Coaching's all about relationships too,
Okay.
like you and I,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay. So then, what does coaching with Kris Pavone look like? I know what it looks like,
Yeah.
but for those of those listening, what does it look like?
Yeah. I, I'm not sure. I was going to say you'd be able to answer that the best, right? I I can tell you what I think just from what I've been told, but yeah, I think I'll let you share then too, if you like.
Yeah.
Um, I've been told that I can, yeah, I lovingly call people on their BS if need be. I had a guy say to me, "I was worried you're going to be too nice." He's like, "But you
That's not the
always
case.
call me." Yeah, yeah, yeah. You always call me on my stuff, and I'm like, okay, and but I don't know. I've been told I relax people. I come off very non-threatening, which I guess is good.
Yeah.
Um, I've been told I'm authentic, transparent, easy to talk to, and so that's things I've been told that I see in myself. And coaching with me is also so. I could just say my job as a coach. And again, man, this sounds like one of those things that if I when I first heard it, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, that's a good answer." This
Yeah.
is the truth today. My job is to coach the person in front of me the best that I can, to love and to serve and to be fully present for them with just this loving desire to help. So
Okay.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah, yeah,
I would say my biggest concern with coaching with Kris Pavone was that somehow you were going to put me in a rear naked chokehold or suplex me into a table, and I didn't
yeah.
want that, or hit me with a folding chair. So
Luckily, we're on Zoom, so you didn't probably.
yes, yeah, I didn't know if there was a filter or something that you could do that with. No,
That's funny. Yeah,
yeah, I would agree with everything you said, and I would just add to that. Um, you did the prosperous coach method where we had a couple of discovery calls before we went
right.
into the, I don't know, the quote unquote official relationship where I signed on the dotted line. You sent an invoice, and we had that legit, like it was legit from day one, but where it was that next level of you know, whatever. You understand what I'm trying to say? People listening understand what I'm trying to say. But when we got into that official relationship, I knew that it was a, this sounds so millennial to say. I knew it was a safe space to talk to you, to have um, an authentic relationship, and that I could open up about things that I didn't feel comfortable talking to even some of my closest friends or some of my closest coworkers, um, about struggles I was having in my business in JohnnyBoy Studios, in building it, struggles I was having in my own friendships and relationships. And I felt comfortable enough to actually have that dialogue with you to where you were able to coach me. So that's what coaching looks like from my end with Kris, was that I was able to actually get coached on the things that I needed to get coached on. Whereas that may not have been the case with some other people. Just, if I had Googled coach in my area, I'm not sure what would pop up. And I don't think it would have been nearly as beneficial. Um, so yeah, I definitely say that again, we were moving in the same space, and I was at an opportunity, I was at a place in my life where I was ready to be coached, and you appeared, and you were at a place in your life where you were ready to offer coaching, and I appeared, and then boom. Not saying I'm your best student, but you know.
Yeah, but right. And thank you. But what you shared, yeah, it takes two, right? I appreciate how you showed up and your openness and willingness to say, hey, this is what I've got going on, or this is what's going on. Yeah, because that's the other big part of it too, is the coachee. Like I'm a good student, if you will, for my coach. Not because I
Yes.
want to get good, but because it's gonna benefit me. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I appreciate how you showed up.
Well, very cool. Well, Kris, that was it. I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I know this is going to help so many people. And if they've been living under a rock somewhere and haven't been introduced to the Kris Pavone ecosphere, then they will now. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank you, Johnny. It's just this was so much fun, man. And it's cool to get to be on your show also. So that's fun.
Where can people go to find out more about you?
Yeah, you can connect with me on Facebook. I'm Kris Pavone. That's Kris with a K. Kris Pavone on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, although I don't do a lot on there. And then krispavone.com. And then my podcast, as Johnny, as you mentioned earlier, is I haven't done any new episodes, but I pay to host it still monthly. So it's evergreen content.
Yes.
So there's all 150 episodes are still available on your favorite podcast app. You could probably listen to an episode from 2 years ago, and I think it would apply to,
absolutely
to you today.
Well, sweet. All the links will be mentioned below in the show notes. So definitely go check it out. Follow Kris and tell him I sent you. So thanks so much for being on. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you, John. Appreciate you too, man.